What's up, Blueprint family? How y'all doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us. Tonight's topic is how long to date before getting married.
Oh
That's
yeah.
a good question. A lot of people want to know that. How long does it take to get married when you're dating somebody? You have those situations to where women want their rings, they want to feel secure in their relationships, they want all the childish games to stop. I think you all get the picture. But that's a real, it's a real question. How long does it take before someone gets married, or how long should it take? We're going to show you tonight that there's multiple um, reasons or multiple
Factors.
in the factors. There you go. Thank you, honey. Multiple factors that you need to look out for in regards to when to get married and when the right timing is.
Mhm. Yeah, because it'll look different. But there are some general, what we call milestones that a relationship should hit that will really give you more of an idea of this whole idea of timing. Is it the right timing? What do you do?
Right. Make sure that if you know somebody who needs to hear this message, go ahead and hit them up and say, hey, you need to tune in right now because they're about to start and talk about you. You and your situation. You need to hear this. So we do provide valuable information night to night, Monday through Friday. Tonight is Marriage Fit Friday. So what we try to do is focus on topics that will get people married. I know we kind of do that every night, but in particular tonight, we like to reach out to those people. If you all have any questions in regards to marriage or relationships, especially, please, you can hit us up tonight. Every show is a live show, so don't hold back. Give us the comments, give us the questions, give us the topics that you all like to for us to hit on, and we'll be more than glad to do that for you.
Yeah. Yep. For those that are new, welcome. For our residual returning
Yep.
viewers, thank you
Yep.
for showing up every day. We appreciate this. We do this for you. So it's always nice when people are here to receive it.
Right. Yeah, we had something last night we had people to mention whether they were returning people or
Yeah, we
not,
like that.
Yeah, we do like
Yeah.
that. So let us know if you're coming back, say
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, we can
Go ahead and
see it
shout
on the
out.
stats, but it's not
It's
it's
more
better when personal when we
yeah,
can
it's
see
it's,
it.
it's more
Yeah.
personal and special when you
Yeah,
let
you
us
let
know
us
that you were
know.
here, a returning person. We love it. Like I
Yeah.
said, we do this for you all. So
Yes. So let's get on in. As always, we have a question. This one is super quick and simple and sweet. These couple questions lately have been like that, or at least the ones we've been picking to use for videos have been, because these are good general ones where we can just dig on in with some general advice that is usually helpful for a wide variety of couples. So tonight, though, this was the subject, marriage, and the body message said, how long should you date a person before marrying them?
mhm.
Quite plain and simple. But, I think it also introduces a great topic that goes all with this, and that's time. Because, truth be told, time is a human construct. And that's probably like, what? That's weird. Like, well, why does that matter? But it matters because for the brain, time is our way of organizing our thoughts and our experiences. And kind of like we talked about last night, when it comes to intimacy in particular is based off of those shared experiences and that trust that you have with the person. So when you have time in all of this, it's really, subjective in a way, based off of what the couple goes through and a variety of factors that we'll go ahead and get into. But it is really subjective, meaning that, the experience is going to be different for everybody, because what one person might consider a small amount of time, another person might consider, a long amount of time. So that's really going to matter. But in particular, time is influenced by your personal experiences, your expectations, and your emotions. So, let's dig on a little bit and see how all of this ties together.
Yeah, and for example, our past experiences can shape our expectations for love
Yeah.
and marriage and our willingness to let ourselves fall in love and
Yeah.
get married.
Yeah.
So if we have been hurt in the past, of course, we may be more cautious about getting married into a new relationship. That's that fear that we had talked about in a previous video.
Yeah, which we talk about in really all videos in particular, because fear plays a huge part in this, because like we always say, love and fear are two totally different vibrations. So if you're anywhere in the realm of being fearful, you're not letting yourself receive the love that you really could receive, because it's just, it's not the same.
Right. So some people are naturally more impulsive and adventurous than others. So these people may be more likely to fall in love quickly.
Yeah. And subsequently, maybe even get married faster, especially if they're in what's that love at first sight type thing.
Right. Or desperate, one or the other.
Right.
That's for you to, decide or figure out. Different cultures have different views on love, marriage, and relationships.
Yeah, right.
So in some cultures, it is considered more acceptable to get married quickly.
Right.
While in other cultures, it is considered more important to take things slowly. Right. And there are multiple factors that involve that.
Right.
Other than cultures, the economy, business, whether you're conducting some sort of family business.
Right. Yeah.
And, in other cultures, like I said, the amount of income you make that may influence whether you all get married or not, or how fast you all get married. So
and also couples, countries and cultures that have more arranged marriages are more likely to see, couples get married faster, usually because they already have these things set in place for a couple to go through, whether it's with the help of family or, other relatives or anything of that nature. It's usually they're provided some type of assistance. They usually go through counseling. They do the things that they need in order to prepare them for marriage. So that in return will speed it up, at least the time that it's going to take to get to the point where you're like thinking about it, and a point where you're actually ready to take that jump.
Right. Yeah. Because the intention is cultivated.
Right.
So the intention is there. So that helps speed it up. That's one of the most important preliminary characteristics of a person before they get married, is to hold that intention of marriage.
Yeah.
So our hormones can also play a role in how quickly we fall in love, of course, and your ability to make rational decisions.
Right.
About marriage when we are around someone we are attracted to. So understand that. So our bodies release a number of hormones, including dopamine, oxytocin, and vasopressin. So these hormones can make you feel euphoric and can make us more likely to bond with the person we are attracted to.
Yeah.
Those are the butterflies that you feel. So you're not actually feeling butterflies, you're feeling brain chemicals, brain drugs that your body is making.
Yeah.
So even if the person is no good for you, this is why it is wise to allow the honeymoon phase to basically pass before pursuing marriage with a person.
Right.
Often at times we talked about that timeline in the past, that honeymoon phase can last up to 2 years.
Right. Ideally, well, not ideally, but it will vary from couple to couple, but it's more often seen between like 6 months to 2 years. So, I mean, some people hop right into the honeymoon phase, and that's just like full of, especially if it's somebody that you're really attracted to. So if you're really attracted, you'll go smooth on in there. The hormones will be flowing, and but in particular with that honeymoon phase, that's kind of the stage where you're like head over heels for a person, and you commonly will overlook what all those red flags. And all those things that you kind of haven't quite put your finger on of to whether or not they're gonna really be a good match for you in your marriage, because everything would just seem so perfect.
Right. Right, exactly. So your judgment is very clouded under any under any stimulant. Your judgment is always clouded, of course, alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be. Those are the your brain are making these drugs.
Yes.
So you have to understand that and just be mindful of that. Be aware of it. Don't try to make any irrational decisions or quick decisions during that phase, the honeymoon phase.
Right, because you don't want to overlook those flaws, like you said. Like those are super important to pay attention to, because the relationship may not be as good as it seems in that moment, where it will feel like you said, it's like you're under the influence, of serious drugs. So your mind is just like gonna overlook all of that. So dog waxing.
So there is no one size fits all.
Right.
Answer to this question.
Right.
how long a couple should date before getting married. However, there are some factors that may influence how long a couple should date before getting married.
Right. Right. And these will vary, but here are some key factors. In particular, age, right? So that's a that's usually a given, but younger couples really have to be aware that you are going to probably need to date much longer for a much longer period of time compared to an older couple. Because often when you're younger, we're talking about maybe even your homogamous relationship where you're meet high school, college type thing, you're really still figuring out who you are, you're building your character, and all of that is important to take in consideration when you're getting into a relationship. So you
Y-
know where you stand.
Right. You're still maturing.
Yeah, yeah.
I said that before. I think the male brain finish maturing at the age of like 24, 25.
Mm.
So we still have some more growth as
Right.
far as maturing and so our judgments, become more clear after after that, hopefully.
Yeah. And testosterone starts to, even
Decline.
kill out.
Right.
Yeah. From being ramped up on, testosterone really is it will make it harder for a man to commit to just one woman, unless he's really spent that time to become disciplined and actually, build his character, which is needed. Same thing for a woman. If a woman isn't for sure that she wants to be a wife, she doesn't know what that takes, what that entails, and is truly ready for that commitment, then, it's probably should wait a little longer before trying to get married. But compared to like older couples, they are probably going to need a shorter period of time. So, you're talking about the ones that maybe get a divorce or widow or something of that nature, or maybe not haven't even gotten married, but you just know you have a better idea of what you want out of a spouse and you're more understanding of yourself in general. So you don't really need to spend a lot of time figuring that out per se.
Mhm.
Yeah, compared to younger couples, of course.
And life stages. So couples who are in different life stages,
Yeah.
such as one person who is ready to settle down and have children, and the other person who is not,
Yeah.
may need to date for a longer period of time to make sure that they are on the same page.
Yeah, that's super important. That personal readiness, because if those shared values and stages don't align, then it's not the time to be getting married. Because then, if you do get married, what does that look like? Then you're both trying to argue and figure out, how you get what you want from the relationship because you guys weren't on one accord at the, from the very beginning. So that's why it's really important setting those intentions and making sure they're aligned.
Right. That's definitely
Yeah.
setting those intentions, because you need to know whether or not, if it's a definite no, especially when it comes to children.
Right.
If the woman wants to have children and the man says no, I never want to have children, then
Yeah.
you can't make him have children.
Right. Or try to change his mind.
Right. Now you may have children without planning. Don't get
Right.
me wrong, but you want to make sure that you both are evenly yoked and on one accord.
Yeah.
Before getting married.
Yes, for sure. And the next factor would be like how close, kind of going right along with what we're talking about now, but how close your shared values and your goals are to each other. So, in particular, how much do you agree on things like finances, spirituality, like my husband was talking about, having children, all of that. If you are in alignment, then check. It's going to show that, hey, you're much ready to go for marriage than you are if y'all, haven't even talked about these things, regardless of how hot and heavy everything else is. The main things have to be talked about.
Yeah. So the last factor is relationship milestones.
Yes.
So couples who have experienced major relationship milestones may be more prepared for marriage than couples who have not yet experienced these.
Right.
So here's some milestones
Yeah.
that couples should be sure to what is that?
Sure to hit. Yeah.
Yeah, sure to hit before they are prepared for marriage.
Right.
If they want to
Meaning
get married.
Right. Meaning like, the things that you want to make sure that you have, at least if you haven't experienced them, be sure that y'all have talked about them and kind of really sat down and brainstormed what it would look like. What are your plans around these topics? And, it would be best if you have actually put them in action, because that's really where the wisdom is going to turn into active experience to be able to apply to life if you have actually gone through these things early in the relationship, rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that similar to like marriage vision, having a marriage vision, or is more so applying past situations and learning from those and moving on, or
No, that would more so go with, I think, the shared values part. The vision should be along with the shared values. But when you're talking about when we're talking about milestones, it's more so things that you guys need to make sure that has been checked off of, you have gone through it, or
like what?
effectively, for example, the first one, like effective communication.
Mhm.
So how is your communication in terms of all types of things that you guys talk about? Are you open and honest and transparent with each other?
Like
Are you
conflict resolution.
Yeah,
How
well,
will
that
you all
would be a
come?
second one. Yep, that would be the next one, conflict resolution. But in particular, you want to make sure that you have first hit the first milestone, which is effective communication, which leads right on to the other milestones. But in particular, you have to be able to communicate your thoughts and your feelings and your needs in a clear manner so that your spouse is able to receive them. We talk about this a lot because, as any relationship, communication is huge, but you really want to make sure that before you all have even gotten married, y'all aren't having communication hiccups. Don't be shy to talk about certain topics. Make sure you have talked about your hopes, your fears, your desires. All of those things need to have been discussed, and you need to have felt like you were understood and heard on those topics. Don't think that, just because you've told your spouse something, but they haven't really received what you said. They might not have really been listening, or it really didn't set in for them. That isn't what we mean by effective communication. These things have to really be understood and heard so that then they can be processed through the relationship, which leads to the second one, which you were talking about,
Yep.
conflict.
Resolving conflict
Yeah.
in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict is inevitable in any relationship,
Right.
but it is how couples deal with conflict that matters the most. So
Right.
couples who are resolving conflict in a healthy way are more likely to have a successful marriage.
Right.
So this means being able to talk about the conflict calmly and respectfully, and being willing to compromise.
Right. How does that look?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Have y'all actively done that? If you haven't had any conflict, I certainly don't suggest getting married, because how you go through that conflict will matter. I often say it's not how a person or how a couple interacts when they're happy, but how a couple interacts when they're mad that really will determine their longevity.
Right. And
super important.
Like we always say this too, the boyfriend girlfriend relationship, even engagement, is a preliminary audition pretty much for marriage. So you want to make sure that you've experienced these these are milestones. So you want to be able to experience these milestones prior to getting married, so you're well equipped to handle all of them.
Yeah. So go through those conflicts.
It doesn't have to be anything major,
right?
Like infidelity or
right. Good clarification.
Someone gambling issues and things like that.
Right. We're not talking the extremes.
Yeah, we're not talking extreme situations, but just normal day-to-day conflicts, things that may trigger you and your wife. How well do you all handle those things, or you and your girlfriend rather? How well do you all handle those? If it feels like you're having to move mountains, you may need to consider more help with those situations. But yeah, we're not talking about those extremes, those basically those ones that qualify for divorce, I would say.
Right. You don't want to set yourself up too much for having to have too much baggage in your relationship before you
because
even get
that
started.
means if you're having those type of relations like infidelity, cheating and all this thing, stealing or lying consistently, you probably should not even get married, to be honest with you, because those things, that if you haven't worked those things out, then you really need to consider talking to someone else or being in a relationship with someone else.
Right. I think this is kind of a little random, but one thing that kind of popped in my mind was you remember when COVID hit and all of a sudden all these couples were around each other, and then everybody talking about people breaking up and stuff because they're spending so much time together, and actually seeing how you don't have effective communication, how you don't have good conflict resolution skills, because the working world just in general can make it kind of hard to really always be around your spouse and then being able to know how to communicate in those times and stuff like that. So putting everybody home, and really in that scene just really tested a lot of people's relationships, and it showed might should have worked on these things a little bit before getting married. And in particular, I think those are the most important milestones that you have got to either one, know that you guys have it down pat, or two, know that you need to work on it and actively be working on it before you get married. Don't go marrying somebody who you don't think you can be open and honest and communicate with and understanding and forgiving and compromising with, because yes, it's not going to be that successful of a marriage, because you need those things and active practice in it early. I know a lot of people say like, oh, we don't argue or anything like that, we must be oh so in love. Like, nah, sometimes you may be avoiding stuff there. So you got to be paying attention to whether both of y'all are trying to just avoid conflict because y'all so head over heels and excited about being together. Don't be fearful of conflict. Just prepare yourself and build the tools up so that you guys can defeat and move through the conflict.
Right.
All conflicts.
Right. And we have videos about conflict resolution. I would suggest you all watch those.
Yeah.
Not trying to really cover and dig into that, but I mean, if anyone had any questions, we'll be more than glad to, communicate about those and share some insight.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole topic on itself, to be honest with you.
It is. It is.
Yep. So let's get into sharing finances is a major milestone. So if you all get to the point of sharing finances and can, budget in a great way, so that is a great, massively great accomplishment.
Yeah.
So how couples handle their finances is a major factor in their overall happiness.
Yeah.
Couples who are able to share finances in a way that works for both of them are more likely to be successful in the long run.
Yes.
So this means being open and honest about your finances, your financial situations, and then also to planning a budget that works for both of you.
Yeah. And it's always, that's going to be different for everybody, all types of relationships. I mean, in particular, whenever I think about finances, I always say, think about being on the same team and you have your shared goals. So you shared the money that's going to help you guys reach that shared goal. That's really the easiest way to think about it versus that my money, your money, all this other stuff, especially when it comes to marriage. I know people are just like, oh, you got to keep something separate for a rainy day. I think that's fear-based, don't be so fearful. But, at the same time, I understand some couples do like to have their finances separate. If this is something that you want, make sure y'all talk about that.
I mean, saving for a rainy day. I mean, I think that's.
Well, I mean, like how women
separate funds.
Yeah, how women just stash, women or men, just stash money aside, just or for whatever, but don't even tell their spouse or stuff like that. To me, that's really fearful based. But
I mean, I think that if both people are making a lot, their own money and they're not living paycheck to paycheck, then by all means, I think they're financially fit in order to do things like that.
Yeah, but don't say that that's why. Give it another name.
Yeah, I mean, because you're
call
lying.
I don't know what you can call it. Call it your savings for something else. I don't know, but just call it something else. Like, don't call it your divorce fund. don't.
Oh no, yeah.
Don't do stuff like that, right? Like that's it's fear-based. And of course, when you're talking about, money in general, you guys want to just think about who makes more, who's going to be not holding that over each other's head, but who's going to be the breadwinner. And if it's not ideally where you want it to be, maybe look into getting shared goals so that you can, position that differently. People just have to remember things don't always have to stay the same. So if your man isn't able to make a lot of money at one point in time, he may at another point, but just make sure that you guys are willing to work on these goals together, or vice versa. You never know how those dynamics will play out. But finances, that's a big one. I can't even remember. I think that's like the second one why people get divorced. Was it? I know irreconcilable differences.
I think it was number 2.
Yeah.
And number 3 was infidelity.
Yeah. So finances is a big one. Get comfortable talking about finances, please, because you got to.
Yeah, because family is a business. You got to learn to budget and put money away.
Yeah.
I would suggest budgeting the whole year out. That would be my advice. You're supposed to budget the whole year out, categories by different categories. Put those monies aside, and if you are running low in one category, you're supposed to move the funds from another one into whatever funds that are low. And then that is what it is. And that keeps you afloat. Make sure you got money for rent, your car notes, and things that of necessity, utilities and all that. So
another one I kind of think about with finances, though, one last point is to possibly consider talking to a financial advisor together. We're not, financiers or nothing like that, but that would be certainly something that we did that, but something you guys should really consider doing too, so that then you're able to really, get a objective view on what your finances look like and if you're prepared for marriage. And then in particular too, checking your credit scores, looking at each other's debt, figuring out, how you're going to tackle all that together. If one spouse is okay with the shared goal of getting all your debt down together out of the way, then great. If not, what's that going to look like? All of those things have to be talked about. So then that way you're not getting no stubbles up in the road because these are things that y'all didn't want to talk about from the beginning.
Right. And another thing also too, including finances, retirement.
Yes.
Talk about retirement is sooner than later.
Right.
Retirement is a real thing. So a lot of people here in America are coming short and falling short of retirement goals as far as money.
Yeah.
You can't always count on your, retirement plans at work to actually get you to the finish line of life.
Right.
And you have to talk with your spouse on how we are going to get there.
Yeah.
And on average, one person in the United States, in order to make it from 65 to 95, needs somewhere between $1.2 to $1.5 million.
Right.
And people are on average, with their retirement plans, are landing somewhere between $300,000 to $500,000. So that is not going to get you to retirement.
And this is something we do have a lot of experience in, because my husband works in retirement in particular. So we do know in particular how important it is, because now more than ever,
retirement financing.
Now more than ever, people are realizing we don't have enough for retirement. Even married couples are realizing that, dang, we don't have enough. You know?
So that's the reason why you may see a lot of baby boomers. Going back into the workforce, working part-time or back at Walmart or whatever the case may be. And they're going to look older than you normally see people working out here. Yeah. Because that's what the new element is right. A part-time job. When it comes to, you don't want to be in your 80s working a part-time job. I'm just saying this, to be honest with you. So you all have to strategize some way, somehow, in order to increase your finances. So that you all can retire comfortably, whatever your retirement goals are. Everyone wants to travel when they're, retired, So, I mean, that is something that you all want to talk about. So you don't want to fall short in your retirement years and not plan accordingly.
Yeah.
We living in a whole different, this is 2023. Your wages are not keeping up with the pace of inflation now.
Right.
It never did, I would say, since the 80s.
Yeah.
So, you
got to be innovative. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to move different. You got to move better and pivot, learn to pivot.
Yeah.
So merging families.
Yeah.
So in-laws can be a major source of stress in your relationship.
Yeah.
Couples who are able to deal with their in-laws in a healthy way are more likely to have a successful marriage.
Yeah. Milestone, big milestone.
Yeah.
So big mama and like each other.
This means being able to set boundaries, communicate effectively, and to be respectful to each other's families.
Yeah.
This may also mean blending families and coming together in a way that is healthy for everyone who are involved. So that means your stepchildren and the baby mamas and the baby daddies and all of that.
Right. Don't let that be something that brings issues or drama in your marriage. Have those ironed out before you get married. That's super, super important. And it also just helps everything just flow better, and the energy is good. Everybody's happy. Everybody's on the same page, especially the
boundaries.
Kids. Yeah.
Set your boundaries.
Oh, yeah. That's big with the in-laws part, because, that could be hard for mama's boys or daddy's girls or, different type of situations and dynamics. That's super important, because when you become husband and wife, you cleave to each other. That means you are more important than mama. The wife is more important than mama. The wife is more important than all other stuff. And the husband is more important than daddy. That is the new daddy. That's just how it goes. Like, those are important, and you got to be ready for that and ready to set those boundaries if needed. Because, your spouse comes first, truly.
Yep.
Yes. What's next? Another milestone.
Yeah. Before we move forward, I wanted to say thank you all Instagram viewers and also YouTube viewers as well. So if you all we ask that our Instagram viewers, if you all can also check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe there, and share our videos as well. We really appreciate it. We've been growing drastically, and we really appreciate it on both channels. So we really appreciate all the love we've been getting, and hopefully we've been giving you all value in return. So that's the whole point of all of this. So
Yeah, we got some cool things we're going to do on YouTube too, as far as like cutting our videos and making it. Because right now we just do our live streams, but we really want to be able to cut these shorter so that people can get the valuable clips. Because you know how we do our shows, we talk about a whole bunch of different, parts of a big show. So in particular, being able to clip that up so people can get to the points that they need, we're all working on that. So I'm excited. Yeah.
So making decisions. So making
Yes.
decisions together is another big milestone.
Mm-hmm.
So couples need to be able to make decisions, to be able to make decisions together in order to be successful in marriage.
Yeah.
That's a must. So this means being able to communicate effectively, compromise, and respect each other's opinions.
Right.
It is also means being willing to put your needs of the relationship ahead of your own personal needs sometime.
Yeah.
Often at times being able to agree to disagree, I would
Mm-hmm.
like to say.
Yeah. And, for just being as a woman going into being a wife, being okay with allowing your husband to lead the family and making the decisions
The
for the
natural
family.
order.
Yeah, and that's important. And it's not anything about you being inferior or anything like that, but one of the most important roles as a woman, for a wife in particular, is to be able to support her husband and be there for him in all his decisions that he makes. So he's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes, sure, he may make decisions that may not be, the best decision at that time, but it's not for you to beat him down about those decisions, but to instead allow him those moments where you can let God work through him and in him and help him to make a better decision the next time. Let him learn the lesson he needs to learn so that he can grow to be an effective leader. We as women can't be so quick to want to mother our man or try to be the ones to keep him from making any bad mistakes or bad decisions or anything like that. Like, be okay with trusting his judgment and trusting his ability to lead and being able to be right there to support him if things do go wrong, because you're a team. So if the team's failing, everybody's failing. If the team's winning, everybody's winning. So that's just the main goal, just having that team mindset, being okay with mistakes and decisions.
Right. Yeah. And then also too, not being selfish.
Yeah.
So being open to listen to each other's ideas.
Yeah.
Because it is a teamwork effort.
Right.
It is smart to share ideas about situations, and especially like emergencies or what have you, or either big financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure I consider my wife, whenever there's a big financial decision that I need to make, I want to make sure that she's fully involved. I'm very transparent when it comes to a lot of big decisions in our lives.
Yeah.
So you have to open that line of communication and make sure that both people at least have a say or just express their opinions. And then you both work together to gather the facts, make the best decision off of facts. That's what I like to say.
Yep. So true. Yep. Next milestone would be, right along with this, the ability to cope well with stress. So if you have gone through some type of stressful situation, how did you guys cope in those moments of time? Because in particular, how a couple copes through stress will have a big impact on the longevity of the relationship. If you are one who kind of runs away from it, or, maybe lashes out, holds everything in, bottles up at the end, who knows? Like, any way that you handle stress is going to impact your relationship. So being able to have those conversations on, what is a more healthier way to go about things that are stressful. And of course, that communicating effectively, relaxing together, and just overall finding those things that you all can do together to relieve stress, massaging each other, watching movies, eating your favorite things. I don't know, whatever you guys do, make sure that you can together find ways to cope through life with the stresses that life may bring. Because I think that's the beautiful part of a relationship, having someone to go through life with, the good moments. And yes, especially in marriage, you sign up for those bad moments too. So you can't be ready to jump ship when something goes bad. You got to really be able to cope. And I love the thoughts, having the proper thoughts to get you through a situation. Because if one spouse is, having a hard time mentally, the other spouse can really be a soundboard of offering them good, positive energy and thought to help them get through it. That's really important.
Right. Yeah. You need to talk about your stresses and your triggers.
Yeah.
So, communicate openly about stress as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let your spouse know that they're stressed out and how they're feeling, and also do a check-in. Ask your spouse how they're doing. Because
Yeah.
especially we talking about
Excuse me.
women and their cycles.
Yeah.
If women need to really express that to their
Yeah.
husbands, and so that they know that a stressful situation is about to occur, so be prepared for it.
Right.
My wife doesn't. She lets me know that week before, or whatever the case may be, is coming. So
I'm feeling a little off.
right. So it's just being mindful of those things and helping your spouse out dealing with their stress.
Yeah.
Allowing them that safe space to actually decompress, share. Like my wife said, to talk about their stress or things that are affecting them. So
Mm-hmm.
be mindful of that. That you are their soundboard or what have you, in order to be able to relieve themselves.
Yeah, and that it makes me think too about like depression or
Mental health,
anxiety,
yeah.
mental health. Yeah, that's super super important. That having a relationship is not only effective for combating loneliness, but also depression and anxiety and all that. It's really helpful if you all can learn healthy ways to manage your stress together. Yeah, for sure.
So being able to celebrate successes. So
Mm-hmm.
it's important for couples to celebrate their successes together. This
Yeah.
shows that you appreciate each other and you are proud of what you have accomplished together. So
Yeah.
it is also helps to keep your relationship fun and exciting.
Right.
Ultimately, the decisions of how long to date a person getting married is a personal one. So
Yeah, but I think in particular with your celebrating your successes,
mhm,
it helps to eliminate, not completely eliminate it, but you would hope so, the whole aspect of competition. In
right.
particular, when you look at like 30, maybe like the 90s, the 80s babies, we were really raised on competing a lot with the man. Believe it or not, a lot of our culture taught us like
We're
anything you
told
can do
you.
right, yeah, anything the man can do, I can do better, like and it just I want to show that I can be just as good, like that, deep subconsciously rooted within us growing up as a young girl, like to compete with the man. And because of that, sometimes women can get jealous, men could get jealous of the success of your spouse, and that is not good within a relationship. Like we said before, when you win, your whole team wins. That's what you want it to feel like, and that is what makes, of course, a relationship a true team, and a marriage a true team, is being able to do that for each other.
Right. What I said the other night, a team is not a team of me, but a team of we.
Yeah.
So we share each other's successes, celebrate those. Let you know that your spouse really cares about you.
Right.
They genuinely are there for you, and they've
Yeah.
helped you get there along the way. So it's not just your success or your victory; it's also theirs as well.
Yeah, and those failures too,
Right.
being there during those
And there's nothing
failures.
wrong
Yeah.
with those. The
No.
failures actually get you those successes because it helps
Mhm.
you to be resilient. It helps you to learn from your mistakes and learn how to do better next time.
Yeah, I mean that is so true and super important. I think people
Right.
often forget not to compete with your spouse. Please, even when it comes to things like, if y'all work in the same field or something like that, selling houses or whatever. You just got to be super careful about the dynamics that you keep within your relationship. It may be cool to compete, in a little card game here and there, but don't let that spirit, really overtake your relationship, because it can if you let it.
Right.
So, yeah. Either way, like you were saying, though, there is really no right or wrong answer to this. Of course, what one couple may, fall in love quickly because they know what they want. They've had those conversations within like 2-3 months. They done moved in together. They done shared a couple cycles together. They done, they're ready to go after like 4-5 months. Who knows? Or in the next couple, maybe a little shy. Maybe they're a little reserved. Maybe, one person is a little less ready to hop into something serious. All of that is really just going to determine who, is really ready for marriage and the timing on all of that. But here overall, before we close up, here are some questions to help you consider if the timing may be good for you and your spouse, and ready, if you're ready for marriage or not.
Yep. So are you both on the same page about your future?
Yeah.
you have to really reflect on these questions and answer honestly, of course. And the next one is, do you both want to get married? So is the intention there for
Right.
marriage? Do you both want to have children? Do you both want to, do you both have similar goals for your lives?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you financially stable? Marriage is a big financial commitment. So you need to know, are you both financially ready to take on this financial commitment? Are you both on the same page about financial goals? What does that look like? Is one partner more reserved with spending money compared to the next one? You got to get on one accord with all of that. So.
Right. Are you both sold on the idea of investing and saving for retirement?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is ultimately we're all going to have to retire one day.
Yeah. Where you want to live at too would impact that. One cost of living place is higher than another. So really just knowing country or city, little things like that. Maybe your wife isn't really a country girl, whatever, things to consider. You need to know these things.
Yeah. Are you emotionally ready for marriage? So is
Yeah.
marriage a big emotion? Marriage is a big emotional commitment.
Yeah.
So are you both ready to make a lifelong commitment to each other?
Yes.
Being of service to each other.
Lifelong.
Right.
Don't take that lightly. People are so quick just because man has created the option of divorce. Don't take that, as an option. This is supposed to be a lifelong commitment. Are you ready to stand by each other and make that, make it work thick and thin?
Right. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't think of. And when we got married, I didn't think of it that way too. It's being of service to somebody all the time, forever. So that's something that you have to be committed to. Yeah. I think that is the basis of what it means to be wanting to having the intention to marry somebody.
Yeah.
Is wanting to always be of service to this person and being loyal to those needs of that person. That's what the intention of marriage to me looks like, and that's what it means. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, that's so true.
So you can't go into this. You can't go into marriage being selfish.
Right.
That is something that you cannot do. It's not going to work out. So,
right. Yeah.
So are you both able to communicate effectively and resolve conflict in a healthy way?
Yep. We talked all about that.
Yep.
It's important. Are you compatible with each other? So, yep, that's your goals, your similar values, all of that. Do you enjoy spending time with each other? I mean, like, you like being up in each other's face? Because that's what it's about. Like, if this person annoys you or something like that, they might not be with you. To be honest, me and my husband have literally, I think, we haven't had a day apart in like 10 years. Like, seriously, if I'm sitting here thinking, it's been over 10 years that we
everywhere
have
together.
But it's not miserable. I enjoy it. In fact, I look forward to that. Like, I love spending time with my husband. That's what it makes me happy. Are you ready for that? Is that something you're really interested in? Like, of course, you want to be compatible with this person so that it's fun. We're like best friends. We joke and play all the time. Like, that's just really how, and that's what makes this kind of easy to do, because this is who we are. Anybody that knows us will know this is us all the time. Everybody knows that. That's kind of why people are like, yeah, we see why y'all doing this, because it's really us. But that's what matters. You want to be able to enjoy your time that you're with your spouse. Like, seriously. It's good. You want to feel, or in particular, that's a question. Do you feel supported by your spouse? Do you feel loved by your spouse? If these is something that you are genuinely feeling, then yeah, timing could be right.
Yep. Are you both willing to put in the work, put in the effort? Marriage takes a lot of work. Are you both willing to completely and effectively communicate? So understand that through the work aspect of marriage, for those who work, whether you're the man and the woman that both work, you still have to come home and do more work, and that's your relationship.
Yeah,
you do. So you have to be committed to that as well,
right?
Especially if you all have children. That's another job. So you have to come in and be the daycare for your children in the evening and get them ready for dinner and bed. So understand that it takes a lot of work to raise a family and also to be in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
So you have to be all the, like, again, the service and the intention has to be there.
And the maturity.
Yeah.
I think maturity is big because people think marriage is, oh, it's supposed to be rainbows and glitter and just happiness and sunshine and bows. Like, sure, there are moments like that, but there are moments where it's not. And you got to be all right with marriage during that time too.
Especially
We're not going to sugarcoat this for you.
Right, especially when there's hormones involved.
Right. I mean, getting pregnant, all of that is going to play a part. But that's what, for one, that's why we do this, because I think a lot of people, yeah, they weren't aware that it's work. You just get in it and you get, and especially in that honeymoon phase, you think, oh, it's like this forever. Like, we're going to be all over each other all the time. Like, oh, I love this. Or until shit get real. And you're like,
but also for those folks who didn't have an example.
Yeah.
You know, were both of your parents there? Did you see your parents argue? Did you see your parents fuss and fight?
And make up. Did you see them make up?
Right.
Resolve. Not make up like that, but like resolve, effectively come back together.
Right. You know, and for that young guy who had called in that other night, we knew from the gate, from the questions that he was asking, he was not raised by a father. His father was not involved in his life at all. So that let us know that this is a need for what me and my wife are doing. We're providing a need to our community, to our nation.
And that's no judgment. That's no judgment. That's us not at all. Recognizing.
Yeah, because we grew up without also.
Right.
So we understood how important this is, this information, this transparency into relationship and marriage, how much our society, our world needs this information because of what's going on with marriage statistics.
Yeah.
I think that if people are more so understanding what it takes to be married, then there will be more happily married couples instead of people who are trying to struggle to make it work. If you get what I'm saying. So putting those egos aside, not being selfish, having the intention of marriage, these are things that we're trying to shed light on and provide transparency about, so that marriage can be a great thing, which it is. But more people will understand how it will work for them and how they can be of service to each other.
And like life, you can't be content with this. Marriage is about constantly refining, and growth within yourself as a person. When you recognize, I think that's a lot of the time why conflict will occur, because what you're going to see is a moment of movement, a moment that will allow for movement and change and growth through that conflict, because it's like a relationship will hold up a mirror to you, and whatever, if this person is really for you, they will reveal the things that you may need to work on, the things that you may need to get better at and stuff, so that you can grow into a better person and your marriage can grow into a better state.
Right.
It's constant every day. You're always working.
It will help you overcome fears. Yeah. Fears of commitment, fears of the unknown.
Yeah.
Oh, it allows you to become a better leader, a better decision maker, all around. It makes you a better person. Marriage really does, especially when you find someone who you can work with.
Yeah.
Work as a team to get things accomplished.
Yeah. And commit to doing it right. Right. Doing it right. Really. Got to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. But if you can answer yes to all these questions that we've asked you tonight, then marriage fit you may be. And that is a great thing. That means that the timing is right for you all to make the next step. What I don't recommend, though, is, those long-term 5, 6, 7 year marriages.
So relationships. So if you were in an 8-year relationship and you're not married yet and you all said yes to these questions, then what's the hold up?
Yeah.
What's the hold up? So I would like to know. You can leave a comment on this video.
Yeah.
And we could talk about those things next video, to be honest with you. Those long-term situations of relationship without marriage.
Right. And in particular, and I mean, in particular, people want to argue the idea of common law marriage and stuff like that. But that when we hear that, we commonly want to say, okay, well, sure. Right. Sure. I mean, we understand God created the institution of marriage first. So you don't necessarily have to bring the state into this if you are allowing God to be the governor over your, marriage. But what about, you got a will involved? Do you have in particular, the first thing is the will. I think that's the biggest thing, because a lot of times what you see in these common law marriages is that the spouse may pass away and then you're stuck with no tie to each other. Yeah, a lot of litigation.
Especially if the person who passed owns the home.
Yeah.
and you're living there,
Yeah.
you have to basically fight for that house
Right.
against the state or the county or
Right.
wherever you live at.
And not all states are common law states. So.
Right. And these are things that people do not talk about.
Right.
So not only that, bank accounts,
tax benefits.
Yep,
like,
tax benefits as far as
breaks,
marriage.
yeah.
But if your fears in getting married or about getting married is losing money,
Yeah.
then prenuptial agreements, that those are a thing. So there is really practically no reason why, if you can answer all these questions, that you all should not be married.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it just sets a good foundation, a steady, a nice structure. You have structure. You have chosen to really structure your life and stand up before the state and say, hey, we are brought together by God, and God is going to work through us, and we're going to commit and stay together. And it to me adds a layer of accountability. And I get it too for men who, say, oh, well, the justice system isn't, set up to protect
that's where
us for
prenuptial
marriage and
agreements,
stuff like that. Yeah.
you make that justice system work for you.
Yeah.
So those, you have prenuptial agreements to cover you. Those men out there who are scared to get married or use that as an excuse that, I don't want to have to give up a half or 2/3 of what I own to a woman who's not, who's just look at me as a bank,
Right.
or what have you.
Right.
You have there are contract documents out there that will cover you.
Yeah.
In those cases. And if that woman doesn't want to cover, then guess what? She's not the woman for you.
Right. Discernment. Like, give yourself some credit here. Like, be able to trust yourself too. We talked about this last night. When it comes to trust, a level of that trust is being able to surrender to your inner being, the God within you, and being able to trust that, to cultivate first hearing and discerning and knowing what's right, what's wrong, what's the best thing to do, paying attention to those little gut feelings that are telling you, hey, something's probably not right. But once you have that level of discernment, which applies for both the man and the woman, you should be able to safely surrender to yourself, your higher self, and that knowledge, and then be able to surrender to the trust of your spouse and what you're going through, and then trust that, this is the woman that or man that's for you, based off of your judgment of their character and all these other things, that we always talk about. So,
yep, well said. All right.
Yeah.
So, any of our viewers have any questions?
Yeah.
After that, any comments you all like to share?
Clarifications.
Yeah.
We're gonna be gone till Monday, y'all. So.
Yep. Anything on YouTube?
Yeah, let me check Facebook.
Any comments?
No, but thank you, YouTube viewers, for tuning in. Facebook, we be neglecting y'all, but Facebook, we be tuning in, and Instagram. Yay, it's Friday.
Yep. So we made it to the end of the week. Celebrate, enjoy, especially those hardworking people out there. We really appreciate you all tuning in after a long day's work. This really feels good. This lets me and my wife know that we're doing something that is valuable for the community. Yeah. So with that being said, we really appreciate you all. And until next time, Monday, we'll see you all Monday, same place, same time.
Send in your topics.
Yeah. Send those topics in. And so that's it. So good night, y'all. Peace.